to live without you. What kind of life? What's up, jazz heads? I want to thank all of you now for tuning in to Collabo Live 106.5 FM. We're here in Atlanta, and we're also in New York, Manhattan, the Bronx on Rhythm Up. We're out in Miami on Heavy, and I just wanted to say hey to everybody out there in Music Land. Listen, I'm really excited about this song, Funky Town Shuffle. It's by one of my favorite musicians, Melvin Jones. And look, yesterday I spent a great amount of time with some wonderful musicians. Joe Granston had his big band show at Cafe 290. It was fantastic. So many musicians all in one spot. I loved it. I love big band. I love the whole real jazz feel, and I love live. So listen, I want to thank Joe Granston. Maria Howe, and I think many of you will remember her from The Color Purple. She sang with Joe Granston live. She was wonderful. She was great company. It was a lot of great fun. But while I'm sitting here, I'm actually going to be joined this evening by the gentleman who is to my left, Mr. J.Morris, who is a vocalist, and he's going to surprise you. And I have some callers on the line. Callers, say hi. Okay, I'm being joined by Lenore J,
Hello.
Vocalist, and Mr. Brandon Marcel, who is a flautist.
Hello.
But he is a hip-hop flautist. He has that soul rockin' flute going on. Oh, you're going to love it, I promise you. We have a great show. Heavy conversation today is going to be about what the hell is up with the jazz music industry. No, you're on live. Okay, but our conversation.
I'm glad I wasn't cussing.
Our conversation this evening is what the hell is up with the jazz music industry and what's the Band-Aid. We're going to talk about this. We're bringing everything to the forefront, but tonight we're going to talk about the venues. So as I'm being joined, we're going to go back to Funky Town Shuffle and get the ending of this because you need to feel it. Feel it. Let's all get into it. Okay? Thanks. I love that Funky Town Shuffle by Mr. Melvin Jones. Congratulations to him on his considerations for 5 Grammy nominations. Listen, we're here this evening being, supported by some fantastic musicians here in the city. I'm in studio with J.Morris. Now, he doesn't look like what he's about to sound like, because I promise you, he has this whole hip-hop image going on right now, but he's getting ready to lay down some jazz, I promise you. I'm joined on the call with Miss Lenore J. And I saw Lenore this weekend at Close-Ups 2. She was in a band called NQ, and it was a fantastic show that was, it was amazing, because it went from a energy level to where it was, room temperature, and then it just exploded. I loved it. So, I wanted to make sure that I got Lenore some attention. She's really popular overseas, and I thought more people locally need to hear her music. So we're definitely going to play some of Lenore's cuts. Lenore J, get her CD. She's on iTunes also. And I also have Mr. Brandon Marcel, who is on the call. Brandon is actually in Detroit, but he used to be here in Atlanta as an artist. He plays flute, and I actually came up with the name for his music. It's called Soul Rockin' Flute. Soul, S-O-U-L, Rockin' Flute. So, Brandon is amazing, and when you hear, he's going to have a song that I'm going to play called Push It. You hear it, you're not going to realize it's a flute, because, he has the whole electronics involved with it, but he's also a fantastic flautist. So you definitely, and that's a flutist for some of you who don't know what I'm saying. So he's amazing. So we're going to bring them in. Everybody say hi.
Hello.
And who are you saying hello?
I'm saying hello to the world.
And Jay, I want you to introduce yourself, but I want you to give people a little essence of who you actually are.
Well, my name is J.Morris. I am from Dale City, Virginia. That's about 20 minutes from Washington, D.C. I grew up listening to a lot of jazz, a lot of big band. In my house, we weren't allowed to listen to rap and all that when I was growing up, so I used to sneak to the library and rent, Duke Ellington CDs and stuff like that. I was probably the only 12-year-old who had overdue charges on Duke Ellington CDs. So it's a pretty good thing.
Okay. Now, everybody, you hear this accent. He is from Virginia, meaning he is not an Atlanta native. But when you hear him sing, I promise you, it's going to really blow you away. Now, what's been your experience here in Atlanta with, being a musician coming from Virginia? Now, did you get your start here in Atlanta, or?
My musical career really got serious when I was in the Army. I was in the Army, and I went on the U.S. Soldier Show. I sent in a drum audition, and they called me in because they thought I was the guy singing on the drum audition. And so they brought me in, thinking I was somebody else, and I could actually sing when I got there. So I got the part and got the tour. And that's how my music career began.
Wow, that's a, actually I heard something like that before. The Army really does some great things for musicians, especially aspiring musicians. I know people like Jacob Deaton. He's a jazz guitarist. Oliver Santana Rivera. He's a saxophonist. Started in the Air Force. And a few musicians that I know, they actually got their start in the military band. Everybody else claims Berkeley, but so let's go ahead and go into another cut. And what I'd like to do after that is bring in our other 2 callers who are calling on the line, Lenore J and Mr. Brandon Marcel. It's going to be wonderful. We're having a really heated conversation.
Yes. Bring the heat.
We're going to go into Only You by my girl out there, Lisa McGlown.
I love you with every ounce of me. I love you, boy, darling, just believe. It gets sweeter as the day just as mama's apple pie, extraordinaire. Only you take me there, so good, so right. Only you, no one else will do. Only you. I need you every step of the way. I need you, boy, forever and a day. Like a flower needs some morning dew. Every woman needs a man like you, so debonair. None else can quite compare. You are my shining star. Only you. No one else will do. Only you. And only you can make my spirit free. Only you can love completely. Only you can make my heart run free. Only you.
The song that I wrote, the words are basically saying, a picture's worth 1,000 words, but the dictionary has not prepared me for what I see in you.
And we're back with Go Live. I'm Cairo Qween. This is Collabo Live 106.5 FM. I want to send a special shout out to our listeners out there in New York on Rhythm Up and our listeners out in Miami on Heavy. So I'm in studio here with Mr. J.Morris, and he was really, giving us the lowdown on what he felt, was going on with this jazz situation in the industry. So what the hell do you think is up with the jazz industry, and what's the Band-Aid for it?
I think music has to come from a natural place. I think it's being manufactured from, not an honest place. Music. When I listen to Ella Fitzgerald, and I turn her on, it sounds like she was having fun every time. And when fun and music, begin to separate, that's a huge problem. It seems like, the jazz that I hear now, is often not as spontaneous as ought to be, and I think that really makes the difference. I know when, me and my band are playing and singing and performing, we practice hard, but a lot of the show is ad-lib. We're doing it off the cuff because we love what we're doing, and I think the lack of love is really shown.
So I think I keep saying the improv is missing.
Yeah.
Major, especially in this city.
Yes.
Because we get, and since we're talking about the venues, where venues will ask you to do covers, and giving, doing the covers, doesn't that interfere with your creativity?
Well, you could do a cover and you can make it your own. There's been many songs that we have done that we've kind of just made our own in our own way. You can put your own spin on it. It's really just your interpretation of how you feel the music. So I feel like, coverage is not going to keep somebody down. Their lack of creativity is going to keep them down.
Okay, so now I want you to introduce your song. The song is called Pictionary.
Yes. I wrote this song for a fashion show, actually. It was for a fashion show. The words are saying that a picture's worth 1,000 words, but the dictionary has not prepared me for what I see in you.
Wow.
And, you know, I feel like songs should really be telling you a story as well as, you know, be appealing music-wise. So this is a recording of our show about 2 weeks ago at the Sweet Georgia Juke Joint. This is all live. So this would be the first time. If you weren't there at the Sweet Georgia Juke Joint, this is your first time to get to hear it, you know.
Okay, so we're going into Pictionary by J.Morris. And J.Morris is another person who has performed at Sweet Georgia's Juke Joint, a venue. Wait a minute, we have a caller. Caller? Hi, you're on Live with Collabo Live, 106.5 FM. This is Go Live with Cairo Qween. Who am I speaking with?
This Larry Copper.
Hey, Larry.
Larry,
Hey, what's going on?
what's going on?
What's going
man?
on? Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, hey. What's going on, John?
What's
Okay,
going
so
on?
you're calling
What's
in
going on, Mr. Larry?
Larry, what we're going to do is we're going to go now into a cut by J.Morris, which is called Pictionary. We're going to bring you back in, and you can tell us what the hell is going on with this jazz music industry and what the Band-Aid is, okay?
Okay.
Great. Hold on the line for us while we go into Pictionary.
All right.
Song that I wrote, the words are basically saying, a picture's worth 1,000 words, but the dictionary has not prepared me for what I see in you. Grab that concept, run with it. So right now, I want to sing exclusively to all the single ladies, all the single ladies, all the single ladies, put your hands up. All the single ladies, all the single ladies, all the single ladies, put your hands up. All the single ladies, all the single ladies, all the single ladies, put your hands up. All the single ladies, all the single ladies. Is the only phrase that will move me to the coast. Way to describe it, the style, the smell. I got a devil, baby, and I'm taking you on trial. Ordering the door to me, who wish she delights. Here, mine is her heart, they got my sister's light. Exciting, delighting, enticing, inviting. Move on, get away from the flame of my spirit. So your picture's worth 1,000 words, but the dictionary is not preparing for what I see in you. So your picture's worth 1,000 words, but the dictionary is not preparing for what I see in you. Jordan must be Jesus, 'cause you're everywhere I wanna be. Charge me in with Instagram, blood, no story. Honest nigga drawing more interest every day. I got to have a loving family, so they break the pain. No fear, we can fly away in my spaceship. Dictionary is not preparing for what I see in you. Say your picture's worth 1,000 words, but the dictionary is not preparing for what I see in you. I just feel bad as shit to see. Hey, you smile to me. What you say, you bring out me. Say your picture's worth 1,000 words, but the dictionary is not preparing for what I see in you. Say your picture's worth 1,000 words, but the dictionary is not preparing for what I see in you. Some people say your picture's worth 1,000 words, but the dictionary is not preparing for what I see in you.
on Collabo Live 106.5 FM. This is Go Live with your girl, Cairo Qween. I'm in studio with Mr. J.Morris. That was his song, Pictionary. And we have a caller on the line, Mr. Larry. Larry wanted to say something to J.Morris. Larry, what the hell is going on with this jazz music industry, and what's the Band-Aid?
Well, you know, I really don't know what's going on in the jazz music industry, but I can definitely respect jazz music because, you know, a lot of music, I guess the basis of music comes from jazz music, and, you know, especially J.Morris, I can definitely respect him because this dude is like, his vocal range and, you know, his experience and everything from singing and everything like that, man, it's just out of the box, you know, and it's just out of control. And I'm definitely a follower of Judge, and this guy right here, this guy just blows my mind.
So you saying that Larry,
he's definitely an innovator.
Larry, are you saying that Jay is the answer to this situation with jazz? That he's the Band-Aid for it?
But no, he's not a Band-Aid for it. He's the operation for it. He's the healer for it.
He's the healer. Okay, I like that. So that being said, why don't you give us a little taste live of what you do, Mr. J.Morris?
Okay.
And go.
3 in the morning, tossing and turning, it's late. Just can't rest. I'm waiting for the phone to ring. Will you call? Ring my phone. Girl, I hope you did not forget. 'Cause I can't sleep and I can't eat. And I won't until I hear your voice. When will you call?
I'm calling you after this show. Listen, J.Morris, I want to thank you for coming in. Feel free to chime in when we bring in the other callers, okay? Because I want to keep this conversation going. You were awesome. You rock. Thanks, baby. Okay, now, who's my next caller? Okay, I got my people on the line. I have... Oh, here goes another caller. Hey, caller. Thanks for calling Collabo Live 106.5 FM. You're on Go Live with Cairo Qween. Who am I speaking to?
This is Brandon Marcel.
Brandon Marcel. Brandon Marcel is calling all the way from Detroit, Michigan. Now, Brandon is calling in because, one, like I said earlier, he is a flautist, but he is also a jazz / hip-hop / Listen, hold on one second because the phone is like blowing up. We're going to have a big conference call. Hey, caller. Thanks for calling Collabo Live 106.5 FM. You're on Go Live with Cairo Qween. Who am I speaking with?
D-Ray.
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 Hey, D-Ray. Thanks for calling in. What can we do for you tonight?
Is Jay still on there?
Jay is here.
I'm right here. How are you doing?
Jay's here talking about what the hell is up with this jazz music industry and what the Band-Aid is.
Yes, yeah.
Do you have any? Do you have any input for that?
What? Well, what's up with I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
What's up with the jazz music industry?
It's me on it.
I know who it is. It's not cool. Really, what's up with it? It's not being. I guess what's the word I'm looking for? People don't respect it as much as they should. They also into this other stuff, this hip hop that don't make sense. That the real essence of jazz is not being respected.
So your take is that it's not being respected. So the essence of jazz. Now, are you a listener, a follower of jazz, live jazz music?
When I'm around it, yeah, I kind of look into a lot more of the neo soul type thing. So jazz, I love jazz. I have friends that do jazz, including John. So, you know, I look into it a lot. Like even the scat, and I know jazz. John's real good at that too. So, you know, I do, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? I do cherish jazz. I just don't listen to it as much as I should.
Okay.
But I do respect
D-Ray, hold on the line for me. We've got another caller coming in, and we'll bring you back in. Hey, caller. Thanks for calling Collabo Live 106.5 FM. You're on Go Live with Cairo Qween. Who am I speaking with?
Hi, Cairo Qween. This is D. Cherise. How are you?
Hey, D. Cherise. Vocalist in Atlanta. How are you, darling?
Yeah,
I'm well, thank you. Just calling in to congratulate you on the show and chime in on the conversation. Say hello to J.Morris,
Hello.
my sidekick.
Yes.
Yeah, I heard you blowing on that vocal over there.
Yeah.
Okay, D-Sharice.
As far as go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I just wanted to ask you. We have this conversation more frequently than not, and I think we were on the phone about this 3 hours the other day. So,
yeah.
give your take on what it is that you feel is up with this jazz music industry, and what's the Band-Aid? I mean, we're talking about the venues, so you know as well as I do what the major issues are with the venues. So go ahead and give your take on that.
Yeah, as far as the jazz industry, I always go back to the foundation. And what I think really needs to, the primary problem is that the fundamentals are not there. And when you don't tackle the youth with the fundamentals, they, of course, advance through adolescence, through adulthood. They're the ones patronizing the venues. And the appreciation.
Okay, go ahead.
The appreciation for jazz, the fundamental essence of jazz is just not there. You have different genres that have been fused into jazz, but the straight classic jazz, the younger generation just does not. I'll say some of the younger generation just does not appreciate it, and I don't think it's because they don't want to, but it's just that they don't understand it. And they rather listen to music that they understand. So the Band-Aid, to answer your question, the Band-Aid, I think, is just educating people. We need more mainstream artists that are representing classic jazz out there. And we need it definitely back in the schools. And I think that will really help. With the industry.
I know one thing. This phone is blowing up. D-Sharice, I thank you so much for calling in, Baby Cakes, but we have a million calls coming in right now, so this is hot. I'm glad.
Love you, D.
You're always welcome to call back in and come back in. So, on to our next caller. Love you.
Love you too. Peace out, J.Morris.
Yes, Chart CNT.
Hey, caller, thanks for calling Collabo Live 106.5 FM. You're on Go Live with Cairo Qween. Who's on the line? Okay. Well, we have a bunch of calls coming in right now. I mean, we have an amazing show of support for the show. I think a lot of people really want to chime in on this, and you really have brought a lot of people to the phone.
Thank you. One thing that I was explaining about the the expression of music, you can take any song and make it to what you want it to be. So don't let anybody tell you that's an excuse, for why jazz is not thriving. Jazz is not thriving because we're lacking musicians or we're lacking people who are able. We're just lacking people who are motivated to get it done.
Motivation. There's a cue point. Caller, who am I speaking with?
D-Ray.
D-Ray? Hey, D-Ray. We're going to bring in a few other callers right now. I want to thank you so much for calling in. We're going to keep this phone line going. The phone is blowing up, baby. We'll be glad to take your call in a little bit later also, okay?
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. We're going to roll on to our next segment with Brandon Marcel and Lenore J. We want to get them to chime in a little bit on what it is they feel is up with the jazz music industry. And just so, we could get a take on not just Atlanta, I had Brandon call in, and Brandon is going to give you his spin on what's going on in Detroit. So, Brandon, are you there, baby? I think we lost Brandon, but that's okay. Lenore, are you there? Okay, we're losing phone calls, but that's okay, because now we can roll into our next song. If we're ready to go ahead and roll into the music. Close to My Heart. And this is Joe Granston, the guy that I saw last night. This song was actually produced by Kenny G. And we're going to take a call really quick. Hey, caller, thanks for calling Collabo Live 106.5 FM. You're on Go Live with Cairo Qween. Who am I speaking with?
Lenore J.
Hey, Lenore. Okay, stay on the line for me. We're going to roll into Joe Granston's song, Close to My Heart, with Kenny G, or produced by Kenny G. And I promised him I'd play it. I love you, Joe. We'll be right back.
Okay.
The new Collabo Live 106.5 FM.
But were we meant to be? Were you meant for me? Or are you here to help me find my way to love? My way to love. Is this love for real or is this made
That Shantae Can. Thank you all for joining us on Collabo Live 106.5 FM Atlanta. We're on Go Live with Cairo Qween. That was Shantae Can, who is a lovely vocalist here in Atlanta. She has a beautiful voice. She's back up to NDRE and some other people. She actually took me and had me meet NDRE, so I love her for that. Love that. That was Greater Love. I'm joined here in the studio with J.Morris, and now on the line I have Lenore J, vocalist Lenore J from NQ, and Lenore is actually very popular overseas. We're going to go into a song by Lenore J, but I want Lenore to introduce the song, and then she's going to come back and chime in really briefly on how she feels about this jazz music industry, what the hell is up with it, and, you know, what the band name is. So, Lenore, go ahead and tell us about your number 6 track.
Yes, that's my song, Taking Over, from my debut album, The Story. And it's about when you see someone that you used to have a love thing with, and old feelings resurface.
So it's a little heartbreaking romance and heartbreak type thing.
Yeah. Drama.
Familiar spirits and all. Okay, we're going to go ahead and roll into the track, and then we want you to come back and give us your take, okay?
I don't know why this feeling is taking over me. this feeling taking over. We never shared a deep love thing, that ain't no doubt. I'm trying to figure out why I got this feeling taking over. Now thoughts of the past are hanging heavy on my mind, even though I haven't seen you for a long, long time. When I saw you the other day, I fought the urge to say, hey, can I come over? Can I see you? I've been missing you. If I called you just to say, when I saw you the other day, I reminisced on how you held me. Did you feel it too? Yeah. Being the one on the right side when you were wrong. We didn't get along, but I got this feeling taking over. We never shared a deep love thing, that ain't no doubt. I'm trying to figure out why I got this feeling taking over. Can't control it. Taking over me. Can't control it. Taking over me. Can't control it. Taking over me. Can't control Shared a deep love thing, that ain't no doubt. Trying to figure out why I got this feeling taking over. Being the one on the right side when we were wrong. We didn't get along, but I got this feeling taking over. We never shared a deep love thing, that ain't no doubt. I'm trying to figure out why I got this feeling taking over. Thinking about that guy.
Collabo Live 106.5 FM. This is Go Live with Cairo Qween. We are now on a call with Lenore J. That was her cut, Taking Over. Lenore, what the hell do you think is wrong with this jazz music industry? And we're talking about the venues right now. What do you think is wrong, and what do you feel the Band-Aid is here?
I don't know if there is a Band-Aid. Right now, I'm seeing a whole lot of venues that are opting to do open mic night instead of booking acts.
And
that affects those of us who are working on original music.
Sure does. And so how do you feel about the musicians that consistently do the jam sessions and open mics? And
I'm sorry, what was that question again?
How do you feel about the musicians that consistently do the open mics and the jam sessions? I personally feel like it cuts into your pay now.
They have to eat.
Yeah, they do.
I don't begrudge them doing it, but it creates this kind of atmosphere that forces a lack of musicianship.
Say that.
Now, develop a little bit of that for me really quick. Hold on one second. We have a call coming in. Sorry about that. Hey, Collabo Live 106.5 FM. You are on Go Live with Cairo Qween. Who am I speaking with?
Cairo, this is Lisa.
Hey, Lisa.
I need that Shantae Can, Greater Love.
Oh, that was Shantae Can.
Yes, hot.
Well, thanks so much.
Thank you for that.
Thank you for calling in. We're on a discussion with Lenore J right now. Did you want to chime in on the conversation or?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll put you in the conference.
Jazz.
Okay, we're on now with Lenore J, and we are talking about what the hell is wrong with the jazz music industry and what the Band-Aid is. Lenore said we don't have a Band-Aid. Lenore, Lisa just joined us, so give us a little bit more. We're going to go ahead and get into Brandon's song, Push It. And Brandon is in Detroit. He is also an indie artist who is trying to get out, and get something,
Yes.
like the rest of the musicians that I know and work with here in the city and outside the city. So we're going to let Brandon introduce that after, you finish up what you were saying. Lenore, what were you saying?
I was saying that the current open mic kind of atmosphere where they're not as interested in booking bands and acts anymore or as frequently as they did in the venues. And you have a lot of venues that are closing. That's adding to it. And then piggybacking off of what the young lady said earlier is bring music back to the schools. Children used to learn an instrument.
Yes. Absolutely. That's my passion right now, is to get something going in these schools where, and I mean, even if we develop our own music schools, and I honestly feel like that's the Band-Aid, to develop music schools owned, operated, ran by musicians. Because there are plenty of musicians that are educators, plenty, and that could design curriculum. There are plenty of people out here with money that need to do something with it. They could invest in the future.
Oh, yes.
And I mean, I think it's just a matter of literally asking right now, because there are so many people sitting on money. I mean, I think that's half of what's wrong with the economy. We're missing the trickle down. People who have money are just sitting on it. So, I mean, put it back into communities. We could put teachers who are unemployed back to work right now. Bring them into a school system that literally is teaching how to play music, teaching, the essence of mathematics, science, and language based off of music. Music has all of that. It's science, it's English, it's every language actually, because it does blend with every language. So, Brandon, how are you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling really good tonight.
Brandon, you're all the way out there in Detroit, and you saw fit to call in to Collabo Live. Thank you so much for joining us on this call. What is your spin on what's up with, I mean, we talked about this several times too, so what's your spin on what's going on with this jazz music industry? How do you feel about it?
Doing pretty good. I'd like to thank you for welcoming me to the show out here, Brandon Marcel. I'm actually in Jackson, Michigan, which is about an hour west of Detroit, so, we're getting it up here. But as far as the jazz music is concerned, I mean, I really don't see too much of a problem with jazz. I think we have a problem with the labeling. Labeling our music. Really what I'm saying is, we're musicians. I remember, I think I heard on the last episode, or maybe previous to now, that jazz music is, it's forever evolving. It started, I guess you can say straight head jazz, and moved to bebop and different things. And so many people get confused and feel like jazz is theirs. I want to kind of say, it's like jazz is it's first and foremost a free art form. It's improvisational. It's free. It's from the soul. It's just free flowing. So I don't think you could ever put put a box around it and say this is jazz, because it's never been a solid form. It's always been free. We just always stick to the early artists that have actually presented it. Going back to Duke Ellington and all the way back then. But at that time, I really believe that those artists were playing the music of that time. And so now we're up to today, and we're playing covers, and we're playing all these different things, and people are saying, oh, that's not jazz, and that's not this, and that's not that. And I just really feel like, it's a problem with the label, and it's supposed to evolve. So, I don't think there's really a problem with the industry. I think there's a problem with different folks, wanting to label what this music is and what that music is. And,
Okay, so let's all chime in on that. J.Morris here, Lisa, Lenore, Brandon. Let's take this to a conversational level now. The labeling. Is that the issue? I mean, because all of you, the reason why you're all here, you all are of some different genre of jazz. So, Lisa is more of a classical version. She does all sorts of music, but she has more of a classical feel. Classical jazz feel. Brandon, he's almost on the hip hop side with Push It. And you know what? Let me play Brandon's song really quick so you all will know what I'm talking about, because Push It is off the chain. Soul Rockin' Flute, a name that I actually coined myself. Brandon, tell everybody about Soul Rockin' Flute, and then we'll all come in and start to discuss this issue over some hot live jazz.
Alrighty, I came up with Soul Rockin' Flute with a friend of mine, a DJ 420 right here in town with me, and basically it's a sample, it's a remake of a 1976 group, the Ohio Players, that came up with a song Topic. And, you know, how I say, you know, this is more of a jazz fusion, if you want to say that, you know, with the hip-hop, or not really even hip-hop, you know. Really, that's why I don't really try to put labels on it. You know, this is me, this is Brandon Marcel, Soul Rockin' Flute, you know, getting down and doing what I do.
Push.
Man, push it.
Music, please.
Man, that is the jam. We are Collabo Live 106.5 FM. We're in studio with J.Morris, on the line with Mr. Brandon Marcel and Lenore J. That was Brandon Marcel's Pushin'. Brandon, that was off the chain. You know, that is a total dance tune. I love that, and I mean, I loved it since the day you stuck it on my Facebook page originally. So, I mean, I feel where you're coming from with the labeling, you know, not wanting to label. And I started to look through different genres of music, and I think like a lot of music genres actually experience this, but none so much as jazz music, because I mean, we've gone from jazz. We've gone to, R&B, which could be jazz. We go to neo soul, which is jazz with singing. We have, different versions of jazz. It can be urban jazz. We have what they call smooth jazz, cool jazz. There's so many different labels. You're right about that, I think, where, the distinctions are, just crazy.
But with the distinctions, I really think that makes the music. I think that's what makes it jazz. When we talk about classical music, you could have somebody play, New York Philharmonic to, San Diego Symphony, play, say, the Beethoven Ninth Symphony, and it's pretty much going to be played the same by that orchestra and by that symphony and by that orchestra. You can hear 7 different recordings, and you're pretty much going to get the same sound. With jazz, you're going to get those different sounds, and I think we need to embrace that instead of trying to separate it. I mean, that's the beauty in jazz. It's forever evolving. It's players' music.
Yeah, but there have always been different genres of music. There's always going to be traditional jazz, contemporary jazz, smooth jazz. I mean, there's always going to be different labels on music, different genres. And I don't think there's a problem with all the different types. I just think in different parts of the country, in different cities, people, embrace different types of music. And sometimes it's just like the area, places like D.C., they're big on traditional jazz. Here in Atlanta, they're big on smooth jazz, contemporary jazz. I think it's all good. I just think it depends on preference.
I think it's all good. I mean, I have some of my favorites, and there's something that, everybody has something they don't prefer. I mean, I have people that say they love all music. They really don't. But, there are things that you prefer more than the other. I mean, of course, my thing is swing, and I had a great time on Monday at the big band. That was just wonderful. So, what we're going to do is go ahead and go into another cut. We have Kenyon Carter. Kenyon Carter actually has a song called Flip Flop. And I met with Kenyon Carter yesterday, and he was at the big band show. He's a saxophonist that plays with Joe Granston's band. So this is Flip Flop by Kenyon Carter. And we're back on Collabo Live 106.5 FM. This is Go Live with Cairo Qween. We're in the studio with J.Morris on my left, and on the call from Detroit, we have Mr. Brandon Marcel, who was really taking us to school on what he felt was going on with the jazz music industry. We just had some good feedback here in the studio during the song. Education being a major part of, what it is that is stopping the jazz community from flowing the way that it should, or from growing the way that it should. That going to the fact that young people are not learning jazz. They don't learn music, period. So there's no music in schools. I think and feel that without the instruments actually being in schools, then it's hard for us to even say that, we have a future for this genre of music, because it's not being taught. None of them are actually learning how to play the instruments at all. They never see them.
Without tools.
Man, come on.
It's hard to build a house without tools.
And that to me is just utterly amazing. I mean, how could you go from when I was growing up saying that, children who actually play instruments are more well-rounded in school, therefore you should play an instrument, or to the point that, it makes you look good for college applications, that it shows that you are a much more well-rounded student. And what was the feedback we had in the middle?
Well, the fact that, you got all these studios at home,
studios at home.
Fruity Loops and your Logics and your Regions, and you're making all these beats, and there's
Reason
not
number
one.
5.
There's not one instrument in the house. You got a little mini board, playing your keys, but there's not one real instrument in the house. And kids, they get to hear the beats, the cool beats on TV, and they get an idea, and they figure that's what music's all about, when they really haven't been exposed to that live feel where somebody show them exactly how music feels versus how it sounds.
Now, what's really interesting is in Brandon's video pushing, he has some young children actually playing the instruments in the video. It's the cutest thing. You have to look it up on YouTube. Brandon, tell people what your YouTube page is.
I have a YouTube page. It's of course, youtube.com, and then /GwynB. So that would be GUINNB as in Brandon. And with that, though, I would say that, with how I elaborate on the, music in school and those instruments, I think that, it's definitely a problem. We have to fight to keep instruments and music in school. We definitely have to fight for that, I think I heard you, Cairo Qween, on one of your last shows to really say how you really feel how music is almost like one of the elements, of mankind, where it's definitely crucial to our civilization, and I totally agree with you on that. And I feel that jazz music specifically, and that's why we may have a problem in that arena, because jazz music is so free and so flowing. It's not, it's never, when it's done correctly, it's not in the box. It's not composed. It's not under control. It's so free, and with the power of music being so free, I really think that that's something. Maybe it's deeper, maybe I'm going a little too far and deep, but with music being free and allowing you to flow, music is very inspirational. If we didn't have music in our life, things wouldn't be, just imagine watching television or driving in a car without any music. So having an art form such as jazz and being so free and being able to expose different feelings and emotions, it's not being put out there. It's not being put on the radio. It's not being put on television, because that's allowing individuals to think for themselves.
Ooh,
so,
don't start.
It's deeper than that.
Don't start that. Listen, Brandon just brought up the fact that you can watch these shows in archive online. That's at www.livestream.com/Collabo Music. That's MUZIK, Collabo Music. Now, you want to check those out, you can go into the archives and watch shows that we did for the last 3 weeks. And definitely want to talk more about this free flow, because, I talk about the spirituality of going, flowing from your soul to soul, because you create music from your pure essence, and then it goes to another essence. It comes to my soul, and it communicates something to me on a level of spirituality. Whatever it is that you're sending out, I start to receive. That's a communication. Now, when we do incorporate these computerized instruments, that's not your soul. That's a computer. So, I mean, the thing that my soul was supposed to receive from you, you know, my soul is no longer receiving from another soul. It's getting digitized, you know, and then I have computer love.
Computer love.
You know, I can go into a whole lecture about that and get into my whole Illuminati conversation. But I won't go there. What I do want to do is chop into a little Mace Hibbert. Now, Mace Hibbert this is my favorite song by him. It is called Remembrance of Things Past. And when I talk about evoking emotion, please turn all your attention to this song, because the entire song literally triggers different things in your chakras. I promise you. If you pay attention to it closely, Mace Hibbert really did something special with this album. The CD is called Remembrance of Things Past, and the album is called Time Gone By. I want you to, you know, tell me what you feel about this, you know, after you listen to it, because I know I got something. I had to ask Mace, you know, what was your influence behind this? It really literally blows you away like that. I mean, I listen to this every day now because it really does trigger that type of emotion on several different levels. So let's go ahead and go into Mace Hibbert's Remembrance of Things Past.
FM.
Ooh, Collabo Live 106.5 FM. You are on Go Live with Cairo Qween. That was Mace Hibbert's Remembrance of Things Past. We're listening to Jacob Deaton's Tribulation right now. Now, that did invoke emotion. Now, am I wrong?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you're not wrong. It did evoke emotion. Indeed, it did.
Okay.
That song was a roller coaster.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of take you a little here, take a little there. It was you could tell he took his time. You know, he took his time to put that together. That was really nice.
I mean, when I say it evoked emotion for me, I mean, it really like had me thinking about some things. And I was like, where did that even come from? You know? But I mean, after I listened to it a few times, I realized that song is literally hitting some chakras. So when we talk about, you know, music, you know, influencing and infecting people, I mean, I think that song is a great, you know, example of how it does go to the emotional level. Two, I mean, we're talking about venues. So, I mean, I think a lack of understanding of what jazz is like, it's impeding jazz from flowing in the venues here in the city. I mean, I think a lot of people, they want the money, you know, and they want the people who bring crowds. And a lot of times the people who are bringing crowds aren't actually putting on jazz shows, but we'll say it's jazz because it sounds good, you know, and we sell it as a jazz product because, you know, that's what the people want to believe that they're listening to. So when we actually ask the audience, you know, well, do you like jazz? They're like, yeah, I like jazz. Okay, so who's your favorite jazz artist? You know, the guy that plays the Stevie Wonder and the Earth, Wind and Fire and and again, I know that goes to labeling, but at the same time, you know, there's, I believe, a difference between instrumental covers and actual jazz music. Because I think people like Mace Hibbert, who are, you know, straight ahead, you know, they're having a heck of a time actually getting booked, period.
Right.
I mean, just here in the city, I mean, and this man is up for Grammy nominations, you know? I mean, this is Jacob Deaton. He plays for the mayor, you know? Can't get him booked. Just, you know, we're doing a lot of door gigs right now. People who want to pay, they want to pay oh, you have a caller, okay. Hey, caller, thanks for calling Collabo Live, 106.5 FM. This is Cairo Qween. Go live. Who am I speaking with? Okay, they dropped the call. But let's go ahead and go back into this conversation. We're going to go ahead and tie it up. We're probably a little short on time now. But what we want to do is, you know, is to keep this conversation going every single week. I want to thank everyone who called in. Thank you, J.Morris, for you know, coming in, sitting in with me. I want to thank Collabo Live and Collabo Music. I want to thank all the people out in New York who are listening to Rhythm Up. I want to thank you all out there. I want to thank all the people out in Miami who are listening in. And we do have another caller. Caller, thanks for calling Collabo Live 106.5 FM. Go live. You're on with Cairo Qween. Hello.
Floyd.
Hey, Floyd. How are you doing?
Doing great.
Floyd, we're tying this session up this evening, and we're probably going to come back next week and do the part 3. We're going to talk about the money. Next week. What's your real quick take on what's going on with this jazz music industry?
Well, I think that, you know, like people don't understand it, and that.
Floyd, your call's breaking up a little bit, baby.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay. So what were you saying now? You think what? We're going to keep it brief, babe.
Kind of like fade it out, because I think everybody is trying to do, you know, what's kind of out there right now. And jazz is kind of like, in my opinion, part of where it originated from.
Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go ahead and close out with a song. Thank you for calling us, Floyd, and we appreciate your support for Collabo Live 106.5 FM. And thank you so much, everyone. Lenore, Jay, I want to thank Lisa McGlown, who had to go over to Milo's in Marietta and do her show with Jazzmatic this evening. Started at 9:30. I want to thank Brandon Marcel all the way from Detroit. Thank you for joining me on this call. And I really want to make sure that you all come back Tuesday. Next week, 8:30, same time, same place. We're going to go ahead and go into... Sorry. We're going to go into the last song, which is The Interview, and this is by A. London Arrington. We want to send a shout out to Chart CNT,
yes,
which is your record label.
.com, chartsent.com. Make sure you come out and support D. Sharice and Flo at the Atlanta's Hottest Awards this Saturday at the Georgia Congress Center.
Speaking of that, we'll be there on Saturday. Too, I want to say, congratulations to my friend Nikkei, who's getting married on Saturday. I'll be at her wedding. Also want to plug... We'll be at Churchill Grounds for our Real Live Latin Jazz with Son Jazzy, Nelson Ramos, and Millie Son, who's going to be teaching us to dance a little salsa, and that starts at 7:30 on Sunday. For anybody who's interested, and even if you're not, come check us out. You'll have a great time at Churchill Grounds. Parking is free on the street. We love you. May the Lord watch between me and thee while we're absent one from another. Until next time. This is The Interview, and you are on Collabo Live. Go live with Cairo Qween.
Check out J.Morris, Facebook.com. Just J.Morris.
I want you to understand that I would never ask you to do anything for me that I wouldn't do for you. This song is called The Interview. Listen. Would you pray with me every night? Would you dance with me naked by candlelight? Would you hold me tight? Would you love me right? Would you take the time to understand that I'm just a man who's trying to follow God's plan? Would you take my hand and cross the sands of time together into forever? Would you, baby? Would you believe in me? Would you conceive of me? And if I grow weary from the burdens I carry, baby, baby, would you relieve me? Would you? Would you never lie to me? Would you cry with me, touch the sky for me? Would you ride for me? Would you die for me? Would you never lie to me? Would you cry with me, touch the sky for me? Would you ride for me? Would you die for me? Would you steal for me? Say what you feel to me, keep it real with me. Would you kill for me? Sugar, would you kill for me? Can we take our time from this bump and grind and delve inside each other's hearts and mind to see what we find when souls intertwine? That we can share our treasures with intense pleasure. Would you, baby? Would you be by my side to support and to satisfy? Would you only put our God before me? Would you adore me? Would you? Would you never lie to me? Would you cry with me, touch the sky for me? Would you ride for me? Would you die for me? Would you never lie to me? Would you cry with me, touch the sky for me? Would you ride for me? Come on, Reggie, and play for sure, for sure, for sure, for sure.
Construction site, and I need a little help to do the job right. My ladder's too short, my shovel's too small. I need a cat backhoe, so I put in a call to Hawthorne Rented Service, the cat rental store. I wasn't nervous. Hawthorne's the only place to go. I called them up and said I need to rent a backhoe. They brought it out to me with a skip loader too, a skid steer, a forklift, a compactor. Woo! Hawthorne Rented Service, the cat rental store. They got it